What's going on, everybody? Welcome back in. We are getting closer and closer to that moment in the preseason when all of the tough decisions have to be made. And for a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, that means it is roster crunch time. The preseason finale is set for Friday night against the New York Jets. And while on the surface it might just look like another exhibition, the truth is this is a game that carries serious weight for a handful of players who are fighting to extend their NFL dreams. Because once Tuesday rolls around, every single one of the 32 teams in the league is required to trim rosters down from 90 players all the way to 53. That is a lot of moves, and for guys who have been battling since the start of training camp, it is the final chance to show the coaching staff and front office that they deserve a spot on the roster. For Philadelphia, the challenge is not simply identifying who is talented enough to stay, but also navigating the roster gymnastics that inevitably come with a team this deep. When you look at the quarterback room, the hierarchy is pretty clear at the top. Jalen Hurts is the unquestioned starter, the face of the franchise, the leader who has carried this team to incredible heights the past couple of seasons. Behind him, Tanner McKee has earned the trust of the staff as the number 2. He might not get the same attention as Hurts, but he has shown enough poise, accuracy, and control of the offense to make it obvious that he belongs. Where things get complicated is at quarterback 3, because that is where you have Kyle McCord and Dorian Thompson-Robinson competing for what might end up being just a practice squad role. With the Eagles needing depth across the roster, it is entirely possible they decide not to carry a third quarterback on the initial 53. That puts a lot of pressure on McCord and DTR heading into this final game. McCord has had the edge in recent practices, even getting some reps as the backup while McKee was sidelined with a finger issue. But consistency has been the question. As for Thompson-Robinson, he simply has not impressed. The physical traits are there, but when you watch his command of the offense, the decision-making, and the accuracy, it just feels like he has not done enough to secure confidence from the coaches. At running back, Saquon Barkley has stepped in and immediately solidified himself as the number 1 option. His presence has been felt in every way, from the way defenses have to respect him to the leadership he brings in meetings and practices. Behind him, rookie Will Shipley has looked promising. He is locked in as the number 2 and gives this backfield a younger spark to complement Barkley. The question mark comes with A.J. Dillon. There are fans who cannot imagine a scenario where Dillon gets released, but this is where the roster puzzle comes into play. Because of the depth at other positions, the Eagles could in theory cut him, stash him on the practice squad, and then elevate him when needed. It would not be about talent, it would be about numbers. Dillon has shown flashes, like in the preseason matchup against Cincinnati where he ran hard and looked the part, but then there are stretches like against Cleveland where he barely got opportunities. The staff is still trying to sort out where exactly he fits, and it makes him one of the biggest names on the bubble. Wide receiver has been another fascinating spot to watch. A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are obvious roster locks, and their chemistry with Jalen Hurts continues to be one of the league's most dangerous duos. Jahan Dotson has quietly put together a very good camp and preseason, consistently finding ways to get open and make plays. The addition of John Mechie in a trade sent ripples through the depth chart, because when you give up Harrison Bryant and draft compensation to bring in a player, you are not doing it for a cam body. Mechie is going to be on this team, and the expectation is that he will carve out a role. That means the fight for those final spots is intense. Darius Cooper has done everything asked of him, getting snaps with the first-team offense, catching passes from Hurts, even working on special teams units. He looks like a number 3 receiver right now. But with Mechie added, the front office might have to make some really difficult calls, which leaves Cooper, Johnny Wilson, and Aeneas Smith all in limbo. Wilson's injury during practice complicates his status, and that could become one of those roster Tetris situations where he starts the year on the physically unable to perform list, buying the team some time to figure out what to do. Terrace Marshall and Elijah Cooks, meanwhile, simply have not shown enough to make a realistic case, so their odds of sticking are slim to none. Tight end is more straightforward. Dallas Goedert is the veteran star, and Grant Calcaterra has done enough to establish himself as the second option. The Eagles have typically gone with just 2 tight ends on the initial roster, then used the practice squad to keep extra depth they can elevate on game day. That leaves Kylan grandson fighting for his life against E.J. Jenkins, and right now Jenkins is ahead. Grandson still has the final preseason game to swing things, but the fact that Jenkins has been more reliable in camp reps cannot be ignored. The offensive line always draws attention in Philadelphia because it has been the foundation of so much success, and this year is no different. The starting group of Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson once he returns, Cam Jurgens, Tyler Steen, and Lane Johnson is one of the best in the league. They provide protection, physicality, and an identity that matches the city's blue-collar mentality. Behind them, Drew Kendall has secured his spot as a backup center, especially given Jurgens' off-season back surgery. Kendall was drafted for exactly this reason, and the staff believes he can step in if needed. Matt Pryor's versatility makes him indispensable. He can line up at guard or tackle and not miss a beat. That kind of positional flexibility is gold in the NFL, which makes him a lock. But once you get past those names, the battle becomes crowded. Brett Toth has been used at multiple spots, but played deep into the last preseason game. Usually not a good sign for job security. Rookie Cameron Williams has potential, but potential does not always equal a roster spot. Miles Hinton has struggled, which leaves his standing in doubt. Veterans like Kendall Lamb and Trevor Keegan have at least shown they can cover multiple spots, and Sean Derrick Powell has become a bit of a mystery man. The coaching staff has not shown much of him in preseason games, which could be a strategy to hide him from other teams in hopes of sneaking him onto the practice squad. Davis formed one of the most intimidating young duos in the league. Add in Moro Ojomo, Ty Robinson, and undrafted rookie Gabe Hall, and Ewell, and now he looks destined to make the final roster. On the Ed rolls out in Week 1 against Dallas. Cornerback is where things get complicated. Their future's in jeopardy. Ringo's quad issue and poor showing against Cincinnati have dropped him down the pecking order. Jackson has been given snaps simply because nobody else has run away with the job, but that does not mean he is safe. Ricks has the length and talent to be intriguing, but intrigue alone does not guarantee a roster spot. It is entirely possible the Eagles keep them, but it would not shock anyone if one or more of them were moved, cut, or traded. At safety, Reed Blankenship, Andrew Makuba, and Sidney Brown are firmly entrenched. Andre Sam has probably done enough to surpass Tristan McCullum, which nobody would have predicted a month ago, but camp and preseason performances matter. Brandon Johnson in the slot has been interesting, though likely destined for the practice squad if he does not sneak on the final roster. Then there are the specialists, the players who do not always get headlines, but play a role in determining the final numbers. Avery Williams was brought in as a return man, but with other players like Cooper DeJean and Aeneas Smith capable of handling those duties while also contributing in other areas, Williams might be squeezed out. Fullback and special teams piece Ben Van Sumeren is also a unique case. The Eagles have floated the idea of reviving the fullback role, and Van Sumeren brings value in multiple phases. The question is whether that value is enough to justify using one of the precious 53 roster spots. All of this highlights just how difficult the roster cut-down process is going to be for Philadelphia. This is a team loaded with talent, filled with veterans who know how to win and young players eager to prove themselves. Some players who deserve a chance will not get one, at least not immediately. That is the reality of life in the NFL. And while fans are already debating in comment sections and group chats about who should stay and who should go, the truth is the Eagles' front office is facing decisions that could shape the depth and flexibility of this team for the entire season. When we turn our attention fully to the defensive side of the ball, that is really where the drama of this roster battle heats up, because the Eagles have built a defensive core that is not only talented at the top, but also extremely crowded at the back end. Every snap in camp and every snap in preseason has become a high-stakes audition, because the margin for error is razor thin when you're trying to crack one of the deepest defenses in the league. For players who have been on the edge of the roster before, or those rookies trying to make their first impression, this is the week where reputations are either made or erased. Inside along the defensive line, the top names are secure. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis look like they could anchor the front for the next decade, with Carter already flashing the kind of dominance that made him a top pick. He is explosive off the snap, violent with his hands, and when he lines up next to Davis, offenses are simply forced to choose which mismatch they want to deal with. Add in Moro Ojomo and Ty Robinson, who have both proven themselves as rotational pieces with upside, and you have a core that is rock solid. The surprising development has been Gabe Hall. Coming in as an undrafted rookie, few would have predicted he would rise this quickly. But every practice and every preseason outing has shown his motor, his ability to knife into gaps, and his knack for creating pressure. He has been one of those stories that define a summer camp, a player who arrives without fanfare but refuses to be ignored. After the team moved on from Thomas Booker, the door swung open for Hall, and now he looks like someone the Eagles cannot risk letting go. But when you get beyond those locks, that is where the uncertainty starts to creep in. Byron Young, once a third-round pick, has flashed in spurts but not consistently enough to guarantee a role. Jacob Sykes gave everyone something to talk about with a big play in the opener against Cincinnati, but one highlight does not make a roster spot. Abu Okerenwu has a track record of production around the league, which gives him credibility, but the question is whether his ceiling is high enough compared to the younger players. And then there is Antoine Powell-Ryland, a recent draft pick who simply has not shown the kind of impact you expect. He is raw, yes, but he has not made the statement that rookies fighting for a roster spot need to make in August. That brings us to Patrick Johnson, and if you have been following preseason closely, you know that Johnson has been outstanding. He has made plays in every game, whether it was the sack against Cincinnati that unfortunately was negated, the interception against Cleveland that nearly went back for 6, or the way he diagnosed and blew up a reverse. He has been the kind of preseason warrior that fans love to root for. The staff is watching closely because sometimes production trumps pedigree. The Eagles have to ask themselves whether to keep the draft pick in Powell-Ryland or the playmaker in Johnson. It is a tough call, but the tape speaks loudly in Johnson's favor. At linebacker, almost feels strange to say it, but the Eagles have an embarrassment of riches. For years, this has been the soft underbelly of the roster, a position the front office never prioritized. That has changed. Zach Bond has been flying around all summer, and he is locked into a starting role. Jahad Campbell has been a tackling machine, showing instincts that make him look like a seasoned veteran rather than a young player still finding his way. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. carries the name that resonates so much in this city, and he has backed it up with physical play that reminds people of his father. Smail Mondin brings a combination of speed and range that fits the modern game perfectly. All of these players deserve snaps, but only 2 can be on the field as the starting off-ball linebackers when the team takes on Dallas in Week 1. The competition is fierce, and the coaches have rotated combinations trying to find the right balance. What stands out is the change in organizational philosophy. After decades of undervaluing linebackers, the Eagles suddenly have a core that might be the deepest in the conference, and that is going to cause some ripple effects when cut-down day arrives. Cornerback is perhaps the most complicated and controversial unit right now. At the top, Quinyon Mitchell has been everything the team hoped for, a rookie who looks polished beyond his years. He has the length, the confidence, and the awareness to stick to receivers and make plays on the ball. Cooper DeJean has brought a versatility that allows him to line up outside, in the slot, or even at safety in certain packages, and he has the trigger when he sees a Port Philadelphia, but also showcases for the rest of the league. When a player flashes against the Jets on Friday night, there might be scouts from half a dozen other teams taking notes. Even if that player does not make the Eagles, his down to Tuesday's cut down continues. The stakes rise with every snap. Players know it, coaches know it, and fans can feel it. The battles at quarterback 3, at running back depth, at wide receiver on the fringe, along the offensive line, and across the defensive secondary will define the stories of this preseason. Some names will survive, others will not, and in the end, the Eagles will emerge with a roster that they believe is capable of carrying them through another long and demanding season. This is the tension and excitement of August football, where the scoreboard might not count, but every rep still matters, because every rep could be the difference between an NFL career and a what-if. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The Philadelphia Eagles have reportedly made a shocking move that has sent tremors through the NFL landscape, as sources indicate that they have secured the services of BENNETT in a trade that no one saw coming. The league has been rife with speculation over the past few weeks about potential blockbuster deals, and insiders hint that the Eagles' front office has been quietly negotiating behind closed doors to land BENNETT, a player whose skills and presence on the field could drastically reshape the team's dynamics. Fans are already buzzing on social media, with discussions ranging from the impact on the Eagles' offensive and defensive schemes to how this acquisition could affect the morale of the locker room. Analysts are dissecting every angle, from salary cap implications to the strategy behind giving up potential draft picks, which remain undisclosed but are rumored to be significant. Sports commentators are debating whether BENNETT's style fits seamlessly into Philadelphia's system or whether adjustments will be necessary, and there is widespread curiosity about how the coaching staff plans to integrate him quickly. The buzz isn't just local. Across the country, rival teams are assessing what this means for their matchups, and insiders hint that some front offices are already reconsidering their game plans for the upcoming season, suggesting the trade could be a league-altering event. The speculation around BENNETT's move to the Eagles has been heating up, with whispers that the trade negotiations were more complex than initially reported, involving multiple parties and potential conditional clauses that could influence future drafts or player exchanges. Sources claim that BENNETT's agents were heavily involved, pushing for terms that would maximize their client's leverage and ensure he lands in a team environment conducive to his growth and performance. Sports journalists have been piecing together fragments of information, trying to discern how the Eagles convinced BENNETT and his camp that Philadelphia was the optimal destination, especially when rumors suggested interest from several other top-tier teams across the league. Fans are theorizing endlessly about the locker room dynamics, wondering how veteran players will react to the newcomer and whether BENNETT's personality will harmonize or clash with established stars. The online sports forums are ablaze with predictions, ranging from championship aspirations to debates on whether this trade signals a shift in the Eagles' long-term strategy. Coaches from rival teams are allegedly reviewing game footage obsessively, looking for weaknesses that BENNETT might exploit or strengths he could bolster, while betting agencies are quietly adjusting odds in anticipation of changes to the Eagles' win projections, highlighting the pervasive ripple effect of a single high-profile acquisition. Amid the flurry of rumors, analysts are speculating that the Eagles' decision to trade for BENNETT could be a strategic masterstroke aimed at sending a message to the league, asserting that the team is willing to take bold risks to achieve immediate success. Reports suggest that discussions surrounding the trade were intense, with multiple rounds of negotiation involving not only players and agents, but also high-level executives within the Eagles organization, emphasizing the significance of this acquisition. Observers are particularly interested in how BENNETT's unique skill set could be leveraged, with insiders hinting at potential shifts in offensive and defensive schemes designed to maximize his impact. Meanwhile, sports commentators are analyzing past performances, comparing BENNETT's statistics and influence to other marquee players in the league, and debating whether the Eagles' gamble will pay off in both short-term victories and long-term franchise stability. Fans are increasingly vocal, posting analyses, memes, and speculative breakdowns across social media, contributing to the growing sense of anticipation and uncertainty surrounding the upcoming season. As the story continues to evolve, whispers of other potential trades, player movements, and draft strategies are circulating, suggesting that the Eagles' front office might not be finished reshaping the roster and that BENNETT's arrival could be the catalyst for a much larger shakeup. The excitement surrounding BENNETT's move is accompanied by an undercurrent of skepticism, as some insiders question whether the Eagles might have overextended themselves in pursuit of a high-profile acquisition, potentially compromising future flexibility in player contracts and draft picks. Rumors abound that the trade discussions included various contingencies designed to protect the team from unforeseen circumstances, including injury clauses or performance benchmarks, reflecting the meticulous planning behind what appears on the surface to be a simple player exchange. Analysts are debating how Bennett's presence will alter the team's leadership structure, with speculation that he could emerge as a vocal figure in the locker room, influencing both on-field tactics and off-field cohesion. Fan forums are divided, with some lauding the Eagles' boldness and others fearing potential disruptions in team chemistry, creating a charged atmosphere filled with anticipation, doubt, and debate. Audiences hooked. The buzz continues to expand beyond Philadelphia, with rival teams' managements reportedly reassessing strategies, scouting reports, and game plans in light of Bennett's rumored strengths, illustrating how a single acquisition can reverberate throughout the league and generate a complex web of anticipation, speculation, and intrigue. Speculation is now reaching fever pitch as whispers suggest that Bennett's arrival might herald a new era for the Eagles, with potential ripple effects across the entire NFL hierarchy. Insider chatter indicates that the team may be planning additional maneuvers, using Bennett's presence as leverage to attract other players or negotiate advantageous terms in upcoming drafts, hinting at a broader strategic vision beyond a single trade. Observers note that Bennett's integration into the squad will be closely monitored, with coaches likely to experiment with formations and schemes that highlight his particular talents, generating intense analysis and debate from analysts and fans alike. Meanwhile, rival teams are said to be scrambling to adjust defensive strategies, anticipate offensive adaptations, and reconsider their own roster moves, demonstrating the profound influence a single high-profile transaction can have on league dynamics. The constant stream of rumors, partial disclosures, and speculative reporting has created a charged media environment, with each new report or leak sparking waves of commentary and conjecture, feeding the narrative that the Eagles may be on the brink of a significant transformation. Ultimately, the mystery surrounding the trade, combined with the potential impact on both the team and the league, has made Bennett's rumored arrival one of the most compelling and talked-about storylines in recent NFL history, fueling a continuous buzz that shows no sign of abating. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.